First, thank you very much, Julie, for being here and accepting to be featured on the Lovely series. You were a awesome recommendation from Talita. Talita, that by the way was I almost hired her at AWS, but we couldn't at that time. And then I start forwarding her around. I talked to some people at Dazon, and that's how she ended up doing the interview there. Uh,
Oh, wow. That's a very full circle 360 moment.
so
That
here
is.
we go. Here we are
Yeah.
again. But so I did 0.00001% of the effort for her to get hired anywhere because she is amazing on her own. So she didn't need me at all. Uh, but let's start talking a little bit about you. Who is Julie? What is the background? Can you share a little bit how you ended up
Yes.
here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so my name is Julie. So I kind of worked in tech itself for around about like 15 years. I do have like not really a computer science background, but I did study like business computing systems. Originally at university, I did enroll on a software engineering, and this was my very first time when I encountered
Ah,
coding. Throughout my whole entire school life, college life, never came across coding at all.
wow.
Yeah, until one module where it was programming in Java. I still remember it very vividly, and I was like, "What is this language that these people are teaching me? Like, what is this? I have no idea." And everyone else, like, all have coded like somewhat in like college, and there's me, like, I have no idea what I've signed up to
Oh yeah,
at all.
you probably had those people like, yes, I've been coding since I was 10 or 4 or and this and that, and you're just like
Uh, I'm like, okay. I'm like, yeah, I just coded just today when this module just came, when I just attended this
yeah, I
lecture.
was just playing with my toys. What you were doing coding?
Yeah, exactly what you mean. So yeah, so after that, I mean, the whole year was fine. Like, it was challenging, and I met a lot of like really good, awesome uni friends who helped me get past this course and like and pass it. But then I switched to do business computing system, which still has some coding involved. There was like an e-commerce module where we did like PHP. You know, back in the days, PHP was very a common language, not
Well,
anymore. And HTML and CSS. But then after university, I kind of like decided didn't really want a 9 to 5 kind of corporate job itself. So I ended up working in Apple retail as like what is known as like a genius, not that I'm a
wow,
genius
you are
itself.
a genius, Julie. That's amazing.
Yeah, the job title had a genius. Um, but yeah, so I was there for like 4.5 years doing, yeah, like I guess, yeah, basic IT support for obviously the end users, which is the customers who buy the machines who come in to be like, oh, I have this problem with the Mac. Like, what do I do? Or the hard drive's failed and, stuff like that. And after 4.5 years of working in retail, I was like, oh, I think it's time to become an adult and get a 9 to 5 job where I could spend time with family and friends and not having to work like basically unsociable hours and weekends. And then
Ah,
yeah, and then that's when I kind of officially gone into like I guess first and second line support, but for more of a corporate environment. And
okay.
so
But wait. That time at Apple, I like all of it. You're saying on social hours. Like, what are we talking about? Because this is the first time that I'm talking to an Apple genius. So, is
oh
it like working on Saturday until late at night or all of it? Because this reminds
yeah.
me like a musician life almost.
Mm. So yeah, so we were basically in like a shopping mall. So obviously our store hours
Yeah.
reflected the shopping mall, and I think the mall that I was working at was like 10 to 10 basically on like a weekday, and then I think it was 9 to 9 on like a Saturday, and obviously UK like trading hours on a Sunday is like eleven
Wow.
to 5 p.m. But we would have shift patterns like at Apple, like so the shift will vary between like nine, yeah, probably like 9 to 5 or nine to
Okay.
six. Then you had 10 to 7, 11 to 8. There's also the late shift, which is 2 to 11
Ooh.
p.m. because you also
Okay.
have to do repairs as well. And we will close like the Genius Bar like 2 hours early, like say at 9 o'clock, and then everyone will be at the back repairing the machines for the customers. And then yeah, so there'll be a varied kind of work between yeah Monday to Sunday. You have the
And
odd like weekend where you have like a Sunday off or a Saturday,
ah,
but you
and
never like 2 weekends off at all.
and how did you go from that to this jump to actually working as a developer? Like not those weird hours anymore, not fixing computers. Now probably fixing builds and releases and stuff, but like a different
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I know, fixing bugs. Yeah, sort of fixing computers to fixing bugs. Yeah. So yeah, so I've been kind of all my like, I say probably about 10 years of working IT support, and then I've back on my mind, I kind of always thought I knew it wasn't the career path for me. Like I didn't, not that I love helping users. I love helping like fixing problems and troubleshooting, but there come to a point where it's like, oh, I feel like I can do something like more fun or more challenging. And then COVID happened. If anyone remembered, 4 years ago, there was
Oh
something called
yes.
COVID. Yeah. And I basically used that time. And also, I was contracting at that time as a team lead to basically use that opportunity to, like try out new things. And I think at that time, because of COVID, a lot of companies did a lot of like free intro courses online. So I remember I signed up to one with e-commerce, with General Assembly, which was like an introduction to web development. And I think within that 2 hours, another software engineer it was actually a female software engineer. She basically taught people who signed up like how to just build a really simple web page. And then I was just like, oh, this is like super fun. Like, oh, I really enjoyed this. And this is actually a really like full circle moment, because 18-year-old me would not have sat there and be like, oh, I really like coding, considering I really did not like coding in Java. And there's me like going, oh, I quite like this. This seems really fun and really
Oh
good. And then,
nice.
and then basically from there, I then just started, doing a lot of like self-studying online. I think there was like Codecademy, who had a lot of free resources.
Uh,
And there's also, trying to think, loads of other like courses that were free. As a free code camp is also a really good one that I
yes,
use
yes.
that a lot as well. Very good. And then I did also enrolled onto like a part-time boot camp, which was funded by the government, and it was run by basically like a university who had the funding to hire
A
like a
part-time bootcamp, and with you that have like an official education on this and then going into this, how did you feel about it? Like, was it any challenge? Do you have anything specific that you remember from there that like, oof, I should just go back and like do whatever I was doing? Or
there were times when I was just like, oh, I really didn't understand like some of like the syntax and some of the language and some of the bugs. But luckily, in this part-time boot camp, the software engineer person who was doing it was so good. Like he was just so funny. Like every lesson, like was just so fun. Like even though you had a bug and you couldn't fix it, like he would just joke about and be like, "It's okay. This is part of like being a software engineer. You're not going to get it done the first time." And I think it's just the way he taught like people. He didn't make us feel stupid because like we didn't know anything about it. Instead, he really encouraged us to like, oh, just if he asks us a question, he'll encourage everyone to like just tell them like the answer, even if it's wrong. Just give it like your best shot and stuff. And I think that's what really like, I think that's what I really enjoyed about it. And I think it also kind of cemented the fact to me that maybe self-studying and trying to then break into tech maybe wasn't the path for me, and rather that maybe something like a boot camp to just have more, theory, like knowledge and knowledge teaching would be quite
yes.
vital. Yeah, which then led on to me signing up to another boot camp, which was run by Code First Girls. And then luckily this time, this was actually sponsored by a company called DAZN, they're a sports streaming company. So they're like Netflix for sports, because predominantly like you just stream all sports like football, like
Yep.
I think it was like boxing. None of that really interests me, because tennis. I really like watching tennis, but they didn't
What?
stream
You
that.
were not into
I
into
know.
the football? Wait, are you into the reality shows then? At least
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I do like a bit of reality TV show. There's nothing wrong about. Yeah, I do like a bit of reality TV show. I did finish watching Physical 100 on Netflix.
physical one.
You know,
Oh yeah, about
the
the
Korean.
the very strong people that
Yeah,
have to do this
strong
crazy stuff.
people.
Yeah.
Honestly, some of the challenges. I don't want to give away on this podcast in case anyone is watching it and hasn't watched it yet. Like honestly, some of the people, I'm like, okay, you're so strong. Like, how can you be so strong?
I was actually seeing a meme about the show these days that someone put their old South Korean grandmother to watch in the US, and you can see her face like whenever the beautiful people appear, she's just like drooling over to the people, and I'm like, oh, this is so nice.
It's so funny. That's so cute. Yeah. Like literally, I'm sure you're just watching it for like all the super, super ripped people. I'm like, no, the challenge is itself. I'm just like in awe of the fact that people can do this challenge. But then it comes back down to like the mindset. Like you believe you can do it, like you can do it. I guess it's a bit like with anything. Like if you think you can do it, like you definitely,
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
yeah,
We are
can do it.
doing a podcast about work, so we have to bring back the reality show too. That we
Yeah.
do. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course, exactly. So yeah, so then back on design, yeah, and then the boot camp was like 16 weeks, and then afterwards, luckily they offered me and another girl called Abby a position, like an internship position. So it's like a 1 year junior software engineer position, and we rotated around the company 4 times. Yeah, first started off in developer experience. So that was like more of a full stack team. There was like front end and back end. Then it went on to
Wait,
a front end team.
developer experience, DAZN,
Yeah.
all of it. I can imagine a lot of talk around the Spotify's platforms and all of it. Was that what you were working there? The famous Spotify developer experience platform?
Oh, as in like the Spotify model kind of thing. Is that what
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about?
Like working
Yeah,
with that and
yeah, they had a lot of like different things like squad. Yeah, like I guess is it the Spotify model? Yeah, like squads
I
and
think
all that
so.
other. Yeah, all that stuff which was just really alien to me because I was just like I have no idea. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean agile? What's Scrum? What's like all this stuff? Like, it's just was such a new world, and I think this was also like maybe yeah the very first time where I experienced React as well and like TypeScript because the bootcamp itself was in Python. I had done a bit of JavaScript with the previous boot camp, obviously through my self studying, because I think front end was something that really appealed to me because there was like the visual element. More, yeah, not so much of the back end. I mean, I like back end. Back end is okay because I don't want to diss anyone that's a back end engineer and is going to be like listening or watching this. But yeah, sometimes I think it just depends on the person. I think back end just takes me a lot longer to just click and try and solve the problem, whereas in front end, because it's so visual, I can just be like, oh yeah, like this is the issue. But then front end sometimes can be such a pain where you're trying to like figure out what exactly is the problem. It's a bit like that
Okay.
meme when I don't know if you've seen the meme in like that they say about Word when you move one
Oh
bit and then
yeah.
it just blows up. And I kind of feel like sometimes that's like back end. Like you feel like, oh yeah, it must be this, and you change it, and like it just messes up everything else. And you're like,
Well,
okay, clearly it's not
I can
this.
say the same thing about the CSS. So
Yeah, yeah,
so it's
exactly.
all there. It's all there. But I am curious about like these challenges and like going into like you had a lot of experience already working in many places, and then you decided to take. Some people would say a step back. I think it's a lateral move, but to go towards something different. Like, how do you feel about it? How it was with your family and everyone and friends to say like, yes, I'm gonna be a junior developer now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was very lucky that my mum and my sister was very supportive. I think my mum has always been quite supportive of me and my sister's like career choices. I think coming from like an Asian family and culture, I think a lot of emphasis that you want your kids to be like a doctor or a lawyer or like something to do with maths, something to do with IT. Lucky for me, I did take the IT route, so I think she was quite happy with that because my sister went down a very creative
Oh,
route because
wait,
my
wait,
sister's
wait.
more of the
You come from an Asian descent and you have a sister that does art?
I know,
And
shocking.
she's still alive?
She's still alive.
Oh
She's
my
alive.
god.
Yeah, it's very shocking. Yeah, I remember at the time when she, because it's my older sister. So I think the older ones are always allowed to do like a bit of the daredevils and like can just
Oh yeah.
test out the waters, push the boundaries of your Asian mom and see how far she'll be. But like I said, my mum's always been quite supportive because I think she doesn't want us to live in like having any regrets in our life. Like she doesn't want to be us to go back to and be like, oh, if only you let me study this when I was, in 18 or 19 at college, I could have become this. So I think she would just rather us just like study what we want, do what we want. Obviously within reason. Like I think, yeah. And stuff. But lucky for me, I mean, IT was the only thing that I was really good at, to be honest. So,
Okay. Interesting.
so it's
But
quite natural when I've been like, I want to be a computer. I just want to do computers. And she's
Ah.
like, cool, cool.
And did that transition to you like going into software besides the title junior because you were a team lead at this other thing that you were doing to become junior? Was that also a pay cut on your side?
Yes, because I was
Ooh,
contracting at that time as like as a team lead. So I was earning, I think, a lot more. Yeah, definitely a lot more than what the junior position offered. But I've always been someone that money doesn't really play a big part to whenever I make like any career changes. Obviously, you wouldn't never take. Well, actually, I did take a pay cut, but I think in theory, like no one would ever take like a drastic pay cut for anything. But money was never really a forefront on any kind of jobs that I've ever decided to do, because for me it's more about what the job can give to me and what I can give to the job and the career
nice.
progression, etc.
So never share this podcast whenever you were looking for jobs to your hiring manager.
Yeah, I know, because they'll be like, "Oh, Julie doesn't care about money. She'll just like we can just give her anything and she'll be
No, no.
okay." No, but I think but I think for me it was just like, okay, I can take a pay cut now, and obviously I was lucky that I was kind of contracting, so I had money saved, so there was that kind of element where I was able to take a pay cut, and like even the junior salary wasn't that bad anyway at Design compared to the last job before I went contracting
Mm.
was quite similar salary. So for me, it
Ah,
wasn't necessarily taking like a pay cut in that sense from a permanent job to another permanent job. It's just you can never really compare with like contracting. I remember when Design, the HR offered me the job, she was like, "Oh, I don't know how that is with your salary, like, you know, what you was on before." And I was like, to be honest, it's just incomparable because I was contracting. Like, you can never compare a contracting role to a permanent role. Like, the pay
yeah,
discrepancy would always be like so big. But then I knew in terms of for the future where it can lead me to this role. I know that taking like a step back or a junior title, a bit of a pay cut would just
interesting.
will have benefits in the future for
Interesting.
sure.
Nice, nice. And going back to the Lovelace series and one of the main purpose of talking about women in tech and like all of it, one of the things that we like mention a lot is that there are a lot of initiatives to get women into tech, like this bootcamp that you were saying, like all of it. But me and the co-founders, we always think that we struggle a little bit down the funnel in retaining women in tech and promoting, making them grow and like all of it. But what is your take on it? You have been like inside as a developer for what, 4 years now? How do you think that women in tech feel, and how is that journey now?
Yeah, so I think there's still room for improvement. I think it is tech is still a very male dominated industry, whether it's in engineering or in IT like support. There's always like you just see more men than more women, unfortunately. And I think it's getting better because I think there's a lot of companies that do want to hire more women into tech, like through different initiatives, like pairing with like companies like Code First Girls, who did my bootcamp, whose main initiative is to get more women into tech. And I think a lot of companies are sponsoring the boot camps to encourage more women. And there's a lot of other boot camps to get, women back into tech where they're taking like a big, like maternity leave and stuff because they've gone to have children and, they've, taken a step back for a few years and, because tech is such a emerging and changing
Yeah.
environment. Like if you take a step back for a few years, you probably feel like, oh, I've taken like 10 steps back like already. But I think
Hmm.
still more needs to be done. But it's hard because I think even in my current company where we've been hiring front end engineers, like the amount of women that apply is like very little compared to like men. And I think I think there was like a case study, or I say research, but I don't know if there is any data behind it. But I think it's proven that women will not apply for a job, and I'm guilty because I'm one of these people that will do this as well, unless they tick all like the 10 bullet points on a job
Oh yeah.
spec. You may have heard it as well. Like no one would, they'll be like, oh no, I can't do this because I just don't have this last bullet point.
Yep, yep. And then you
It's
see
like,
those tech bros that will be like proficient in the Kubernetes because I did this 15-minute tutorial. Uh,
yeah,
while yeah, women in general like downplay a lot more their capacity. Yeah, and I think that that tells a lot about society, right? That and that's something weird. I always tell people the majority of the women that I work with, especially the ones that go all the way, and that they withstand all the pressure and the microaggressions and like all of it, and in the end are like senior people and C level, all of it, they all have this thick skin on them that
Mm.
sometimes they feel they had to build to take all of this, and they are all so fantastic. And on the other hand, I see a lot of men in large companies and big positions that are not fantastic at all. They're like quite the downside of it. And you don't see usually women there. I think the standards that you were hold are usually so much higher.
For sure, yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely agree. But yeah, but also I've seen a lot of companies where I go to, like, I sign up to any tech talks and stuff, and where I've been to companies where, they do put a lot of support in hiring women and stuff, which is great. But it's just, I think it is going to be, I think it will still be a tough barrier to break to get more women into tech, because I think predominantly when people think of computing and programming, they're like, oh no, it's not for women, it's more, for men, or you have to be like super geeky or super nerdy, which you don't. You don't have to be super geeky. And I think a lot of people also get put off that you need to be very good at maths. I'm terrible at maths. I mean, there's always some companies I could never work for because I'm not very good at maths. So I think people get put off the fact that, oh, you have to be really like clever, or you have to know a lot of maths to get into programming, and like you really, you don't at all. I think you just
Hmm.
need to have like good communication skills. For how I see it, like just good communication
Good.
skills, be able to like problem solve and troubleshoot. And I think knowing when to ask for help is also very like important. I think these are
Interesting.
like the top skills that you should have. But yeah, but we definitely need more women um, in tech for sure.
And on this journey and like before like all of it, what is one thing that you like to share with fellow tech people? They'll be like, "Ooh, this is something that I've done that I'm really, really proud." What is an accomplishment that you have done that you would like to
Yeah.
highlight here?
I think, like, besides, I think from the career change, because I think it's quite, I say that's a really big accomplishment. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know when this light at this tunnel is going to appear when I was doing all these self studying and stuff. But I made it. But I think it probably will be start like actually working for. When I joined this company I'm working now, which is Eon X, which is like their energy company, and I think I was one or the second, I guess, front end engineer. So there was me,
Wow.
Angelina, who's another female, and then Rob, who was the senior. So it was literally us three. We joined, and I remember they basically gave me like a project from the first go. Be like, okay, here you go, Julie. Like, you can go and revamp this like tool that we built. It's like a booking tool where our kind of staff can book into the company when they want to go into the office and stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, like, I'm just doing this project like just on my own. Obviously, Rob, who's been like my mentor since day one, like supported me and stuff. And then like we spent a few months us like doing this project together. And in my head, I was like, I don't know if I'm like programming coding too slow, or like, am I just too slow? Like, taking me a few months to do this project. But then once that was ended, I was then moved on to another project, which I basically just kind of like did it like myself. Where obviously if I get stuck, I'll go for Rob. But I think the difference between the first project, where like every moment I'll be like, oh Rob, can we have a check in just to see like if my work is okay,
Ah,
to it just being like, oh, here's my MR, just like, can you just review it? Like, to I'd be more confident in myself to know that, okay, I can actually just go ahead and do this myself without always having to rely on like Rob to be like, every week having weekly check-ins to make sure like I'm going the right direction. So for me, I feel like that's like a big improvement and a big accomplishment from when I started to like where I was on my second project, where I was just able just to run with like run with it and just kind of like deliver it.
nice, nice. And this is in 3, 4 years, right? Like
Yeah,
since
so
you
I was in,
moved. Oh,
2001. November 2001 was I officially became a junior software engineer at Design, and then I joined
November
Eon Next
2021. Wow.
21. Yeah, and then I joined Eon Next March 2023. Yeah, so last year I joined. So yeah.
Wow. That is quite fast. And it's interesting because I did help a lot of people doing the transition and also talk to a lot of people on it, including my partner. And it's interesting because a lot of the skills that you develop in your former career are changeable, right? You use a lot of the things that you use there now.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%. Like I think in IT support, a lot of the times the secret users will come to you with like an issue like that you may have not come across, and like the first thing you have to do is like Google. I kind of feel like a big part of a software engineering job is to know how to Google and like know how to Google like the right things to get
Yep.
like the not necessarily the answer, but just like a little inkling of like, okay, like this could be like the issue or this could be a potential fix. And I feel like that is probably another skill that everyone should have. And like I think people are always shocked or when they hear people like, oh yeah, like software engineer, like we don't know it all, like we still have to Google. Like Stack Overflow is probably like
Yep.
where everyone gets all their answers from. They're like, oh, someone's actually done this, okay, someone's put this down. So
Ah, nice, nice.
yeah.
And related to that and Googling and Stack Overflow, I think since you joined 1 year later, we had this crazy chat GPT stuff and all of it. Has this affected the way that you work? Do you regularly use any of these tools?
Yeah, so I do use ChatGPT. I think it's quite good where sometimes I can't, like, if I look at code from other people that in and stuff, or I've picked it from Stack Overflow, and I can't really like understand like the logic that's behind that code. I kind of like put it into ChatGPT and be like, can you explain what this code actually does? And I think the way it breaks down is like it's just so good. And then sometimes I do that to my code where I write like really long. There's if I write to me like long complex code, I'm like, I don't know if this is even readable. Like, and then I will put it in to just make sure that okay, is this what I wanted it to do? And then sometimes, even though ChatGPT is not 100% accurate because you can't really believe it all, and so sometimes it makes mistakes. But if it can get like at least 70% of what I wanted, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely on the right path and stuff. But I do find it very useful for like, yeah, maybe like creating using it for like boiler templating if you want to like really quickly do mock up something. It's not just chat gpt, you've got obviously on git on VS Code, they also have their own like AI tool as well, which you type in one word and it just fills out like pretty much the rest of
Yeah,
your code, and you're like, this is amazing, like this is great.
fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, it's really, really something interesting, and it's crazy how much it changed in 1 year and a half. And I'm looking forward to where we're going there. And what about you? Like, you've been working for some time. You made this a transition. You are now at 3 years and a half, 4 years working as a developer. I'm not gonna go into the where do you see yourself in 5 years kind of a bullshit question, but like, what do you want to do next? Like, you're probably looking forward. So where do you see
Yeah.
yourself?
So like I think so officially I dropped the junior title a few last week. Yeah. I got
Congratulations.
promoted to mid, which was really nice, and just yeah, I guess it's just like that kind of confidence that you get in yourself that okay, yeah, you're doing like a great job, and you're going places and stuff. So I'll definitely like to, yeah, I guess hone in more on that mid level, I guess, role or the idea of what you need to do. I mean, I don't think my job description changes. I'm still building. I'm still building apps and still breaking things and still fixing things. But I also like to, yeah, I guess mentor like other junior people
Hmm.
as well, because it's always very daunting when even when you're fresh, if you're a graduate or you're someone career change, it's always quite daunting like stepping into a company where you're working with engineers who've been there for like a good couple of years, 5 to 10 years. So I like kind of guess also like to repay the fact that someone's also mentored and helped me to get to this position, and I like to repay that back and help mentor someone else. And yeah, I guess it's just working my way forwards on that path. And yeah, and I guess just learning more. There's just so much to learn within like the tech space, and there's always loads of new tools coming out for front end as well as back end, and
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, just improving on those skills for sure.
What is the thing that gets you more curious now? Like, and it can be something extremely technical, like I don't know, Kubernetes or Angular or something specific, or something like, oh, I'm really interested about accessibility or AI or any of it. Like, what is it that move you around now?
Yeah, I think definitely like accessibility is something I would like to like get more involved with, and I have been asked about at work whether or not I want to lead that part. Just to make sure, because obviously even though our apps are predominantly all internal, or it's for internal staff, but I think it's also good to build apps that's also accessible for people, because you just never know, right? Some people probably aren't as vocal to say that they do have like they do need like some sort of help with like the websites to make sure it's more readable to people and stuff. And I think that's also something that often is forgotten about maybe in most
Hmm.
teams and most companies, where you want to build everything looking very pretty and very shiny, but shiny doesn't sometimes is not very great for people who need like screen readers and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely I think accessibility is an area where I like to get better at as well, like, and see where I can also help like when I code, what bits I need to like include to make sure it's good as well. And yeah, I mean, AI is very interesting. Like I said, it's made its footprint into tech. You can't avoid it. Like, it's literally everywhere. And so I don't think it will replace our jobs. Hopefully not. Like, I've only just been here for 4 years. I don't want to get replaced yet by a robot. But yeah, definitely like to see like where what comes out of it and what can be developed further from it as well.
Is your company now playing with anything on it, trying to use for, I don't know, a chatbot or some customer support or to
Mm.
automation something, or?
Yeah, definitely. Like, there's some teams that like we all, our company's all like in different squads, and some squads are focused on like, creating basically a chatbot for our users to use. And like, if they have like a query regarding like their job, they can use like the chatbot to like ask a question, and it will kind of scan through what we called our wiki, and then give back like the correct answers, rather than the user having to like save all their links, or navigating through multiple pages and stuff. So yeah, and I think a
Nice.
chatbot is quite nice. I think a lot of companies have definitely gone on to that. Yeah, using the chatbot to kind of help with the FAQs, all the frequently asked
Oh
questions
yeah.
that a customer has, for sure.
Nice, nice. And going for the less part of it, would be interesting to know what would you tell other people that are in the same situation as you? Like, I'm thinking of jumping into tech. I don't know if this is for a woman. I hear a lot of problems around that. I hear it's hard. Although I hear it pays well. Like, what would you say someone that is looking for a career change and getting into tech?
Yeah, I mean, it's never too late for career change. I think some people are like, oh, like you said, I'm too old, to do it. But it's never too late, no matter how old you are. Like, you just have to make that first step. And if I think career in tech is something that interests you, my advice would be just to like really explore this area. Like, there's so many free courses out there for you to do. Like, no one needs to spend like £10,000 straight off, paying for a boot camp. There's so many free resources, to make use of that. And sometimes we do focus a lot on like, oh, tech jobs should get paid really well, and you do, but there's also like a lot of challenges that come with it. Like, you need to be able to be patient enough to like, solve your problems, because sometimes it could be that you missed like a colon or like a semicolon, and like you're just like, oh, like looking at this code for 2 hours, and then you find it and you're like, that was 2 hours of my life just wasted trying to find this comma or this semicolon that I missed. And it can be frustrating, but
Hmm.
also you just need to, so you have to make sure that this is like the job for you. And if it is, I think it's great. Then you just need to take that first step and just go for it.
Nice. Yeah. I do tell people a lot that working in tech is really cool when you look from the outside, but when you are there every day, it makes you feel stupid so often.
100%. Some days I'm just like, when I get stuck on my code, and then I ask like the seniors for help, and they're like, oh yeah, Julie, it's just this. And I'm like, okay, I spent like an hour or so trying to figure out myself, but you just spent 10 minutes doing it, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Know the
yeah, and it's
feeling.
just, things like that where you just humble you, and you're like, oh, when you sometimes, I always feel like tech is so humbling in so many ways, where you think like you're at top of your game, you're like, yeah, I got this. And then you just can't, you face a problem, and then like you can't fix it for like a good hour, few hours. Someone else comes along and does it in 5 minutes, and you're like, oh, maybe I'm not that good as I am. And then and also especially like when it comes to interviewing, like tech tests,
Oh
honestly,
yeah.
they're the most humbling things ever. Where like companies give you like ridiculously hard tech tests, and you're just like, okay, I don't know any of this stuff.
Yep. And you probably never use them ever.
I know, yes, for sure. Like some of the, I think the algorithms that I got taught, like on the boot camp, I'm just like, I have no idea when I'm ever gonna use all these like algorithms. And you know, you hear like people say, oh yeah, you've got to do a lot of like these leak codes and those coding challenges. I'm like, yeah, but they're not really like a day to day life of like what a developer does. But I think it's encouraging to know that a lot of companies, especially my company, when we kind of interview people and we give them a tech test. It's not it's something that, you know, an everyday, like one of our everyday tasks, like, you know, you have to just build something because it's something that you may have to build when you're working, which I think is much more better than just like, here's go and do 5 coding challenges and
Okay.
see how
And
you get on.
something a little bit unplanned here, but if you were like responsible for a tech company, what are some things that you would try to do to make sure that women feel safe working at your company? That you would be a spot that women would like to work with at that company. Like, do you think that there is any action that decision makers and people can do to make that go, or do you think it's way more complicated than that?
No, I think the first thing is to, I guess, I would. I think it depends on the people that you hire. I think, and also like the personality of like the team culture. I think is a very big thing. You know, coming from design and working with different teams, you know, there was a really good engineering culture where everyone was so supportive of like juniors, mids, seniors. I don't think at design I worked with anyone where I just thought, God, like I don't know, like I don't like working with you at all. And same with here at Eon, like everyone is just so supportive of like juniors, of like mids, and everyone's voice can be heard. Like if you have an issue you want to bring it to the table, like we are very encouraged to like, you know, say it. Like it doesn't, you know, obviously you can't really be mean about it, but like you say it in a very like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, like a responsible way, it's fine. And I think that's what most more companies need to do is encourage people to like, you know, you have a voice, you can express your opinion. Like just because you don't disagree with what someone has said, like that's absolutely fine as well. And yeah, I think a lot of it is to do with like culture. I think that's why it's important for people to, when you hire, not just focus on someone's technical skills, but also like, you know, whether or not they can fit into like the company as well, whether or not they can fit into the team, how do they respond to when, you know, you know, to like to juniors and to mids and stuff. And I think that also ties back to when, if you know, when you're going for a job interview, as much as like you're like, oh, I really want this job, or you know, you're really nervous, but you're also interviewing the company as much as like they're interviewing you. And
Hmm.
I think as like, even when you're junior, mid, or senior, it doesn't really matter. I think like you can tell how someone reacts to like what you say. And I kind of get like a, I don't know, I think I'm someone that's quite good at like sussing people out in terms of their vibe. And when someone's, for something it's a bit like iffy, I'm a bit like, oh, I'm not sure I really want to like work in. I think especially for a junior, you want to work in an environment where you are encouraged to be yourself, to be able to like, you know, voice your opinions, to be able to
Yeah.
speak up without thinking, oh, am I going to get called into a room
Yeah.
and be
Yeah.
and be told you can't say this, Julie. Like you're not allowed to say this. And luckily, like two of yeah, my engineering jobs, I've never come across a team where I wasn't able to just like speak up and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that culture and that feeling of safety of speaking up and being in a blameless place where you know you're not going to be like reprimanded by speaking up or saying something that maybe sometimes people do not agree. It's hard, and you need to have disagreements at work. If everyone is just saying amen to what everyone does, I guarantee you're going to get into a bad place in the future.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't think you can. Yeah, you can never really. No one's ever going to agree on everything because if, like you said, if everyone's like, yeah, like you'll never be able to like improve on anything. There has to be some sort of disagreements in order, yeah, to be able to thrive and everyone to succeed in like your goals and stuff. So yeah, definitely agree.
Nice, nice. And now, to end it, you have the opportunity to tell 1 to 3 people that you would like to see be an interview here as a podcast video or just uh, in a text interview. So, who are your nominees?
Yeah, so I had two. So one is Samaya. She is like a, I think I may pronounce her name wrong and she's going to kill me because she's taught me so many times how to pronounce her name. So I'm very, very sorry. Um, but yeah, but she's also a career switcher. She was a radiographer, like an NHS radiographer, and she's now a
Wow.
software developer apprentice. And she has such an interesting background because she never gave up on becoming a software engineer. Like this is someone that's done two boot camps to get to like
Wow.
this, actually no, two free boot camps actually I think she did in total to get to where she is, and she just never gave up, and I just love that, the fact that she just, yeah, maintain that drive and maintain that focus. And then another person is Trina, who is also a career switcher. She was a pharmacist to a software engineer, and I met
Whoa.
her in one of the events and stuff. So I think, yeah, those two I think will be very interesting to like hear their background and, yeah, and share that
Amazing.
information to
Amazing.
everyone.
Well, Julie, thank you very much for the time. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to understand more. And I hope we catch up with you in a year or two where you are happier, doing something even more uh, heartwarming, I would say, for yourself, because that's the point of it. It's always getting happier, or at least medium more happy.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, no. It's been awesome. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. I was really nervous doing this. I was like, I don't know if I can bring any like good information, but I hope it's been great. If it can help one person, be like, yeah, I'm gonna do a career change. I'll be like, great. That is what I want.
Yes. So if you do it, please tag Julie on LinkedIn and say
Yes.
she is your
Yeah.
inspiration. And we see you all later.
Yeah.